What distinctions would you see as a citizen in Andrew administration as opposed to Ryback?
First, the similarities. I think we have a similar worldview. We have a similar approach to how to present the city. I think there are some differences. I am going to be more of an executor on the vision as opposed to just somebody sort of framing up the vision. And I'm going to be more focused on areas the city is not focused on. Greening is big. Minneapolis is in maybe the upper quartile of green cities around the country. We want to be the first in North America. That's a very big distinction. Number two is I'm very committed to intensive, rapid development, escalating our development policies to more quickly develop jobs and tax base.
I think the similarities between you and Ryback are clear. The differences may be harder to parse. So can you pick one large one? What's the biggest difference?
I would say the city is in a reactive mode and I'm in a proactive mode. A lot of the problems you heard discussed today around small business and property taxes, those are the same problems that were discussed in the last election. And so I would say that I'm going to be a lot more action-oriented, and big difference probably policy-wise, you're going to see this mayor on North Minneapolis promoting transit, jobs, housing, and schools a lot more than what's happened up until now.
Will you consider adding an S to the end of your name so that everybody doesn't mistakenly call you Andrews through this whole campaign?
No, because if I put an S at the end of the name, it would suggest there were more than one of me, and that's way too many for a lot of people. So.
Okay, candidate for Minneapolis Mayor Mark Andrew. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Nick.
We're speaking with Gary Schiff, City Council member and candidate now for Mayor of Minneapolis after the first debate. I want you to take us back to your position on the stadium thing. That's not a closed deal in your book.
Absolutely not. There's a gap in the financing plan that needs to be closed, and the next mayor of Minneapolis has to stand up for taxpayers to make sure that middle-class families that are struggling to get by aren't asked to give even more money to a billionaire team owner. The next mayor of Minneapolis has to fix the deal that was passed and make it better so that it's more progressive and more fair to our city.
What can be done, though, in practical terms to fix that deal right now?
Well, new revenue sources are going to have to be found to fill the gap, and I think they should come from statewide memorabilia taxes. They can come from naming rights on the stadium. They should come from personal seat licenses or from ticket taxes. And then secondly, the city of Minneapolis has to work with St. Paul to reset the debate and find long-term sustainable funding for the 3 single-use sports facilities in our metro area. These are the Minnesota Vikings, not the Minneapolis Vikings, and it's too much burden on one city to pay the cost of 2 arenas.
How's this going over on 1066 Summit Avenue, which I believe is the governor's, the address of the governor's mansion?
Well, the governor acknowledged that the deal needs to be fixed and that it will be fixed.
Can it go back to the table? Can you bring it back to the legislature? Can you ask them to fix it?
Absolutely, that's what has to happen. The legislature passed the bill, so now they have to pass a new bill and fix the mistakes from the first one.
So what does Minneapolis look like after 12 years of a Mayor Schiff administration?
It's more diverse. There's more housing that's affordable at all levels, and every neighborhood has made progress. Neighborhoods are safer, neighborhoods are cleaner, and we make sure that our children are not stuck in a cycle of multi-generational poverty, so that children growing up aren't trapped by the zip code they grew up in and have the full opportunity to achieve their potential.
Okay, well, we're keeping these brief. Gary Schiff, candidate for mayor. Good luck to you. Thanks for speaking to us. Okay. All right, we're speaking with Betsy Hodges, Minneapolis City Council member and candidate for mayor of Minneapolis. And you are saying Minneapolis is going to be, what are your words, the finest, the best, the biggest, the brightest city in the 21st century in America?
The greatest city of the 21st century. That's Minneapolis.
Does New York know we're coming?
They will. They will.
Well, seriously, I would like to ask you, what do you think the hallmarks of that greatness would be?
I think that it will be that we're prospering, that more folks are going to move here, more folks are going to be investing here. It means that we will make sure that our city is unified, that the things that are dividing us now do not divide us any longer, and that the basics of the city work and work really well.
Well, what did you see from your other candidates today? What kind of issues do you think divide you?
I think that we all care about the same things and we all have similar values. I think how we get to the changes we want to see and how we get to the future we want to see are different.
Well, you and Councilmember Schiff seem to be the most adamant that the NFL Vikings Stadium deal is not looking good right now for Minneapolis. What can you do to change that?
Well, what I noted was what's being noted in the newspaper, which is the state part of the funding is not booming as they thought that it would. For me, for the stadium, once it became clear that the deal was going to happen, it became clear that as a city we were going to have to do everything we could to make it successful. I have to do everything I can to make it successful, and I'm on the implementation team to make sure that happens.
Well, I heard a lot of, I was against it before I was for it from almost all of the candidates, but you also brought up the city charter amendment, I believe. Can you work that back into the equation before any further city funds are paid for a stadium?
The state deal went around the city charter.
Right. So is that a done deal, or can that be brought back into the equation?
The legislation's been signed. And I think that were the legislature to decide again to do the stadium, they would once again go around our charter.
So Minneapolis is sort of in the position, as Mr. Samuel said, of being run over or getting on board. Is that really a position for a city mayor to accept?
Well, I have to be clear. I always oppose the stadium bill for the three reasons that I outlined in the debate. I'm opposed to it philosophically. I think it was a bad deal, and we had a charter amendment. As mayor, my concern is that if state funding continues to fail, they will come asking the city for money to bail out the project, and my answer will be no.
Can you determine if there's one other burning issue, what would it be in this camp early on as we are in the campaign? What's the biggest issue?
I think right now folks are really talking about what their main points are. Right now, for me, the biggest issues in the city are making sure that we prosper, making sure that we are unified, and making sure that the city works well.
Okay, Betsy Hodges, candidate for mayor of Minneapolis. Good luck to you, and we'll speak with you further down the road.